I'm going to gavel regular meeting number 4 to order. May we have the playing of the national anthem. Councilmember Favor, would you please lead us in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Councilmember. We are pleased to be joined and appreciative to be joined by Pastor Jamar Turner, pastor of Church of Christ Calvary at Tremont Missionary Baptist Church. Pastor, thank you for being with us.
Thank you for inviting me. I am pastor at Tridestone at this time. So
I apologize for that, Pastor.
Yes, I am.
Well, welcome. Would you pray with us?
Sure. Dear kind spirit, the spirit of love, justice, life, and freedom, we ask your safety and protection in pandemic on those that have been called to lead our communities where we work, play, and live. We request your safety and protection on communities, especially those disproportionately affected by lack, people groups endangered because of age or pre-existing conditions. We pray for those on the front lines. Additionally, we pray that our leaders remember they are first servants, that they are responsible for the human good of all, no matter race, religion, class, sex, or sexual orientation. God, we pray for our city at large. During a time of expansion, transition, social upheaval, and unrest, allow us not to forget our call to be humane, decent, and kind. Give our leaders the wisdom and courage to do justice, love mercy, and walk humbly against all pressures, political, spiritual, physical, emotional, and material, before a spirit that will one day hold them accountable. Furthermore, we pray for a spirit of unity despite differences, the ability to work together in harmony, even during honest contention and genuine difference in conviction. Finally, we pray for the agenda before them today. Please allow them to operate in decent and in order, in ways that are pleasing to your justice, equity, and liberation. In the name of He who is love and truth, amen.
Amen. Thank you so much, Pastor, for bringing that to us this evening. Clerk, please call the roll.
Brown, Dorans, Favor, Remy, Tyson, President Hardin.
Can I get a motion to dispense with the reading of the journal?
So moved.
Second.
Please call the roll.
Brown, Dorans, Favor, Remy, Tyson, President Hardin.
This week's communications received by the city's clerk's office are listed in the agenda and will be published in the city bulletin. Are there any other communications to be read into the record?
Not at this time.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Are there resolutions by members of council, starting with President Pro Tem? All right, Councilmember Mitch Brown.
Nothing this evening, sir.
Thank you, sir. Councilmember Dorans,
Nothing tonight. Thank you.
Councilmember Favor. It's hard to remember the dais sometimes. Councilmember Favor.
Thank you, Councilperson Hardin. Tonight, I actually do have a resolution. Tonight, I have Resolution 0020X-2021 to honor Ezekiel Peebles III for his many years of service as a mental health advocate and to recognize the 10th anniversary of his practice, key counseling and consultation. Ezekiel has over 15 years of experience working in the mental health field, assisting individuals, couples, families, and groups in counseling and workshops. As a mental health advocate and counselor, he impacts the lives of hundreds of Columbus residents through a personalized approach to mental health. Today, Mr. Peebles is pursuing a doctoral degree in the Educational Studies Counselor Education Program at The Ohio State University. Additionally, he is a member of the American Counseling Association, Ohio Counseling Association, Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated, and a member of New Salem Missionary Baptist Church. At this point, I will move for adoption.
Second.
Please call the roll.
Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, Tyson, President Hardin.
Adopted.
Thank you. Mr. Peebles, the floor is yours.
How am I coming in? Okay, great. I just want to say thank you so much for the resolution today, Councilmember Favor, and I just want to thank the entire council, President Hardin, and this body for recognizing the work that I have put in, along with the counselors of key counseling and consultation. You know, 10 years ago is a long time to be doing this great work, but it's very much needed work, right? Especially as we think about all the people in the world, all the citizens of Columbus, Ohio, that have graced our doors. And it's really interesting in this space being virtual because, you know, it was around this time last year that we had to close our doors and move to teletherapy. So our clients are missing us tremendously, but the work is still pushed on. And so I'm very thankful for the staff that I have. My wife, who is also a business partner at Key Counseling and Consultation, Kenitha Peebles, and my son, Sean Peebles as well. So I won't spend any much more of your time. I just want to say thank you for this opportunity and thank you for the acknowledgement today.
I believe I speak on behalf of my colleagues when I say that it's truly our honor to recognize a business in Columbus, especially one that is focusing on mental health during this pandemic. It's needed now more than ever. So we truly do thank you for the work that you and your colleagues are doing for Columbus. And with that, that is all that I have this evening. Oh, I'm sorry, Councilmember Tyson. My apologies.
Thank you. I'm sorry. Thank you, Councilmember Favor. But I would be remiss if I didn't just make a few comments. First of all, I want to thank Mr. Peebles for, again, choosing this as a profession. But it's also extremely important that just from many studies and from the Commission on Black Girls study to just many studies, it is so important that we have counselors that look like, that are from diverse populations, because individuals are very comfortable, much more comfortable with people that look like them. And so to have an African-American male that is a counselor in this community, and we begin to think about all the issues and concerns that are going on in our community, especially around our African-American youth, the youth in MBK, that to have an individual like Mr. Peebles that has this business that can certainly work with people of color is extremely important. So again, congratulations on your anniversary, and I'm so glad that you chose this profession, and hopefully you will be able to help recruit more individuals to be in this profession, because it's so needed. Thank you, Councilmember Favor.
Thank you so much, Councilmember Tyson. Are there any more comments by my colleagues? I apologize. Mr. Peebles, if anyone is looking for services at this time, how can they get a hold of you?
Yes. everything is going virtual right now. So the high preference is that they email us, but they can visit the website at www.keycounseling.org. That is the best way to get services, and everything is going virtual right now. And we do accept a variety of insurances, and we also have a sliding fee scale for those who do not have insurance. So all are welcome. We have plenty of counselors that can service the community.
Thank you so much, Mr. Peoples, and congratulations on your anniversary. That is all I have tonight, Council President Hardin.
Thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Remy.
Thank you very much, Council President Hardin. I'd like to remind everyone to join us this Wednesday, February 10th at 5:30 for our virtual public hearing to learn more about the 15 finalists of the Council Residential Districting Commission. Each finalist will have the opportunity to provide a 3-minute synopsis on why they wish to serve on the commission. Community members will be able to view the hearing live on Facebook and YouTube by going to the Columbus City Council pages on both sites. If you have any questions whatsoever about the process or want to learn more, you can visit www.columbus.gov/districtingcommission or email crdc@columbus.gov. I'd also like to remind everyone that I am holding community hours this month on Thursday, February 18th from 12 to 1:30 via Zoom. If you would like to attend, please RSVP to my legislative assistant, Lucy Frank, at ljfrank@columbus.gov to receive the Zoom information. And then finally, I am saddened and would like to recognize a valuable contributor to our community who left us this past week. I'm saddened to recognize that Missy Weiler passed this past Thursday, February 4th. Bob and Missy Weiler were a team for over 63 years and affecting so many lives throughout the Columbus community. And so it's with much sadness I express our condolences and ask that you all lift up the Weiler family in your thoughts and prayers. Thank you, Council President. That is all I have this evening.
Thank you, Councilmember, and thank you for recognizing the passing of Missy Weiler. She certainly will be missed. And we appreciate all the work that she's done in our community, supporting many different philanthropic areas. So just keep them in your prayers. Councilmember Tyson.
Yes, I do have a resolution this evening. It's Resolution 19X-2021. It's to declare February of 2021 as Teen Dating Violence Awareness Month in the city of Columbus, and thank Bumblebees and other organizations for their services supporting the victims of domestic violence. And whereas each year approximately 1.5 million students experience physical abuse from a dating partner, and moreover 3 in 4 parents have never talked to their children about domestic violence. 1 in 3 young people in the United States are affected by dating violence, and 1 in 5 have been slapped, pushed, hit, threatened, or coerced by a partner. As a result, February has been designated as a month for advocates to join together in efforts to raise awareness regarding dating violence, highlighting promising practices, and encouraging communities to become more involved. And whereas abuse occurs in all types of relationships, and many people of all backgrounds, ages, race, religion, financial status, sexual orientation, and education. Teen dating abuse is an act that causes harm or threatens the risk of harm to a teen by an individual who is in a current or former dating relationship with that teen and may be physical, sexual, financial, verbal, or emotional in nature. And this includes behavior that threatens, intimidates, harasses, controls, isolates, or monitors another person. And while abuse often occurs as a pattern of a controlling behavior, a single episode of abuse is a cause for concern. Whereas Columbus City Council and the City of Columbus supports policies and programs that address prevention, intervention, elimination of bullying, as well as self-harming behaviors, suicide, maltreatment, domestic violence. In this spirit, the city established a Commission on Black Girls in July of 2018 to study and assess the quality of life for Black girls in Columbus, Ohio. Recommendation 2.2 from the Commission's report issued in July of 2020 expressed the need to provide resources that address bullying, self-harming behaviors, suicide, child maltreatment, and prevention services to support the primary health primary health and mental health and emotional well-being of girls. Whereas the city is recognizing the work of Ms. Jamila Collins and Bumblebees, a nonprofit mentoring program for African American girls 10 to 13 years of age. It was founded in 2014, and the Bumblebees mentoring program provides culturally sensitive and relevant workshops, themed activities, participation, and interactive outings with content that is designed to innovatively address and provide resources and information to combat the many social and emotional issues that girls face. The subject matter includes, but is not limited to, self-image, bullying, eating disorders, social justice, advocacy, citizenship, leadership, teen pregnancy, drug and alcohol abuse, and teen dating violence awareness. The program also uses practical life skills, heavily supported and rooted in biblical principles, ultimately empowering girls to find ways to use their voices. And whereas Bumblebee's initiatives cover 10 tenets, one of the tenets includes emphasis on self-image and awareness. During this particular workshop, young ladies are taught how to develop and maintain healthy boundaries while dating and what to do if they find themselves in an abusive relationship and how to access community resources. Bumblebees participants are also provided with safe conversational and exploratory atmosphere with the support of a program mentor. This helps eliminate any scrutiny and judgment when sharing. And whereas Teen Dating Violence Awareness Month provides an opportunity for residents to learn about preventing dating violence and show support for the numerous organizations and individuals that provide critical advocacy, services, and assistance to victims, now therefore be it resolved that this council does hereby declare February of 2021 as Teen Dating Violence Awareness Month in the city of Columbus, and thanks Bumblebees and other organizations. And now I move for adoption.
Second.
Clerk, please call the row.
Brown, Dorans, favor Remy Tyson, President Hardin.
Thank you. Thank you. And I'm going to now ask Ms. Jamila Collins to come to say a few words. Ms. Collins.
Good evening. I am Jamila Collins, the founder of Bumblebees. And on behalf of myself and the girls that I have served, I want to say thanks to God for this opportunity. And for City Council President Hardin, thank you for the acknowledgement, and the rest of the City Council members. And specifically, Councilwoman Priscilla Tyson, thank you so much for all of the wonderful work that you have put in to ensuring that our Black girls are nurtured and supported through your Commission on Black Girls, and all the work that you're doing as well with the Crown Act and the purpose and why we're here today regarding teen dating violence awareness. When I started Bumblebee 7 years ago, I did so in a room of about 30 people who were just there to hear me explain why I thought this was such an important initiative serving Black girls. And 7 years later, I have graduated 33 young ladies through my program, all 3 of which who are currently in college right now, and the remaining are matriculating through Columbus City school system or other schools. We are so elated and so thankful for this opportunity to acknowledge our program. The girls our last cycle just graduated this past December, and we are looking to kick off another cycle next year, starting in September.
Well, again, thank you for coming. Thank you for the work that you're doing. And if there is a young lady or a parent or a guardian or friend of a young girl that is interested in your program, how would they reach out to you?
The best way to reach out to us is via our website, which is www.bumblebeesgirls.com, and that's www.bumblebeesgirls.com. And we can also be found on our social media sites at Bumblebees Girls on Twitter and Instagram, and Bumblebees on Facebook.
Thank you. And you will receive your resolution in the mail from us. So thank you for coming and all the work that you're doing supporting our girls.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. And I now want to, again, this is Black History Month, and I want to highlight for Black History Month, Shirley Anita Chisholm, who was born in Brooklyn, New York on November the 30th of 1924. Shirley was an American politician, educator, and an author who in 1968 became the first Black woman elected to the United States Congress, representing New York's 12th Congressional District. She served from 1969 to 1983 and was elected 7 times. During the 1972 presidential election cycle, she became the first African American candidate for a major party's nomination for the President of the United States, running on the Democratic Party's presidential nomination. Chisholm studied and worked in early childhood education, becoming involved in local government, local Democratic Party politics in the 1950s. In 1964, overcoming some resistance because she was a woman, she was elected to the New York State Assembly. 4 years later, she was elected to Congress, where she led expansion for food and nutrition programs for the poor and rose to party leadership. She retired from Congress in 1983 and taught at Mount Holyoke College while continuing her political organizing. Although nominated for an ambassadorship in 1993, her health issues caused her to withdraw. Chisholm, who passed away on January the 1st of 2005, was awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom in 2015 by President Barack Obama. Shirley was once quoted as saying, if they don't give you a seat at the table, please bring a folding chair. So we recognize again Shirley Chisholm. And then I have just a couple announcements. The first is for Primary One Health, is that Primary One Health is one of our most significant partners in regards to healthcare. And if you are either uninsured, or even if you have insurance, they are our significant partner. And if you are in need of medical services, you can please reach out to them through calling 614-859-1851. And the reason this is so important is because the city has always had a significant relationship with them, and we provide dollars to be able to support your fees, as well as any fees that you may occur that you may need to be able to have your health services. They also provide OBGYN services, primary care and pediatric services, dental, vision, behavioral health. They treat adult medicine with diabetes and hypertension. They have specialty care services. So again, I want to make sure that if you are in need of health care services, again, either uninsured, underinsured, and if you have insurance, please reach out to Primary One, and they also provide their services on a sliding fee scale. There, you can reach them at 614-645-5500. Also, that we will have last Tuesday, we had our first episode of Black Girl Story TV programming that was aired last Tuesday, and the next episode will air on Tuesday the 16th. And I would hope you to tune in to see the program. Thank you. That's all I have, President Hardin.
Thank you, Council Member. For the last 10 months, this council has read out the number of deaths that we've had due to COVID. One, to honor the lives of those lost to this virus, but even more so to remind us that this virus is real and that it is having a real impact in people's lives and our neighbors' lives and our families' lives right here. But we are transitioning to a new phase in the virus and battling this virus, and that is vaccinations. And so I want to start reporting out on how many vaccinations that Columbus Public Health is doing to, again, remind us that the way for us to get out of this virus is for all of us to get vaccinated and to keep ourselves accountable that we are moving in the right direction and vaccinating folks. And so to date, Columbus Public Health has vaccinated 20,303 individuals. and 1,200 vaccinations were done today. And so we will, again, update the community at every council meeting regarding our progress in getting us all vaccinated so that we can all be healthy. So thank you again to public health, to all those folks who are on the front line keeping us safe. Are there any comments by, I see Madam Auditor. All right. The City Attorney's Office. I see Brian Chin. Good to see you, sir. Do we have any judges with us? I see Miss Deb is here. All right. Are there any requests by members of council for the removal of an ordinance resolution on the consent portion of the agenda? Seeing none, may we now have a motion to waive reading of titles of the 38 legislation by the clerk?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Please call the roll.
Brown, Dorans, favor Remy Tyson, President Hardin.
Thank you. Will the clerk now read into the record the ordinance numbers on 38 legislation for tonight's first reading?
Finance Committee, Ordinance 206-2021. Recreation and Parks Committee, Ordinances 201 and 214-2021. Public Utilities Committee, Ordinance 106, 129, 131, 167, 168, 189, 300-2021. Economic Development Committee, Ordinance 154 and 242-2021.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. I believe we have one speaker on the first reading portion of the agenda. We have Kathy Cohen-Becker, who's speaking in support of Ordinance 0129-2021.
Great. Can you hear me?
I can. Ms. Kathy, welcome back to council, and just a reminder that you have 3 minutes.
Thank you. So President Hardin, President Pro Tem Brown, and members of Columbus City Council, my name is Kathy Cohen-Becker, and I'm chair of Ready for 100 in Ohio. And as you know, we worked with the city extensively on the recent campaign for community choice aggregation, and we're thrilled to see it pass by a landslide in November. So I'm here tonight regarding an ordinance that would authorize $55 million in taxpayer money for the division of power to purchase electricity from American Municipal Power. And this ordinance raises some questions. So in 2019, the Division of Power spent $456,000 on electricity, and in 2020, that was $56 million. So an increase of over 1,000%, if I've got this right. And a similar amount is sought for 2021. And while we're not opposed to increasing the Division of Power's budget, we think this money should be spent on renewable energy. Unfortunately, American Municipal Power, the nonprofit corporation that provides power to the city utility, is supplied largely by fossil fuels, coal, diesel, and methane gas. And as you may know, gas to supply power plants comes mainly from fracking, which entails great cost to the environment. Although gas burns cleaner at the plant, the amount of methane that escapes during extraction, transmission, and flaring is enough to wipe out any benefits. Methane is 86 times more potent as a greenhouse gas than carbon dioxide. So at a time when we have less than 10 years to cut carbon emissions in half, the last thing we need is to rely on fracked gas. For this reason, we urge the city to take another look at the sources of energy for the division of power. We know the city has been working to bring in green power from sources like O'Shaughnessy Dam and the solar contracts for 3 city water plants, and we applaud those efforts. And we're also happy to see the commitment to obtaining 50% of the division of power's energy from renewable sources by 2023. But we would like to get this to 100% clean energy by 2030. Although the city utility supplies only a small amount of power compared to AEP, it needs to be a model for the rest of the city and the state. So we could use the city-owned utility to leverage 100% renewable energy, similar to how the city used aggregation to leverage the construction of local clean energy projects for residents and small business. And we should also make creative use of our municipal utility to push forward projects such as microgrids and resiliency hubs in low-income neighborhoods supplied by 100% clean energy, solar panels to supply power to schools, settlement houses, and community centers, and community solar projects that allow neighbors to obtain power from a shared renewable energy facility. Under current Ohio law, community solar is not easily done in AEP territory, but could be done by the city-owned utility, and Columbus should use its division of power to do that. So while we do not oppose a substantial raise in the electricity budget for the division of power, We believe this electricity should come from renewable sources, whether purchased or generated in the city. And we think the city should do more to use its division of power to meet and strengthen the climate goals for Columbus. That's my testimony, and I'm happy to try to answer any questions if you have them.
Thank you so much, Ms. Kathy. Are there any comments? Either I was thinking about Councilmember Remy or Councilmember Dorans or maybe Director Davies, and if not, it's certainly fine. But just wanted to check.
Just that we can. I was just going to say, Councilmember Dorans, that we just appreciate her ongoing advocacy, and it certainly is something that we're working with the administration to look at in the future.
Yep. Thank you, Chair Remy. So just one thing I'll add, and certainly allow Director Davies to weigh in here and for her to correct anything I get wrong. And certainly want to repeat what Councilmember Remy mentioned. It's been a great partnership with Kathy and her group as far as going through the aggregation program and continuing to look at ways for us to do things in a more green way as far as generating power and bringing those solutions to our city, as we know so much of what we do today and in the future is going to be impacted by climate change. But I will say that the contract we have in front of us actually is an increase on the amount of the RECs that the city has purchased in order to help offset some of the carbon emitted via the purchase agreement. If I have my information correct in front of me, I believe it's about 20% of the actual allotment is going to be offset with credits, which we know aren't perfect, but it's a way for the city to help to reduce some of that carbon offset from that purchase agreement. Director Davies, do you want to weigh in on this?
Thank you, Chair Dorans, President Hardin, members of council. The only other thing that I want to add, you had everything correct, is that we enter into these contracts many, many years ahead of time. So we are actually in purchase power agreements through 2025. I believe this was entered into over 5 years ago, and you are correct. There is 20% renewable energy on this through RECs, and our out-year contracts are about 50%. Obviously, we want to get to 100%, and we'll do that as quickly as we possibly can through the next bidding process. Thank you. I'm happy to answer any additional questions.
Thank you, Director. And I know, I certainly won't speak for the department, but I know that this body has a clear emphasis on moving in the direction that Ms. Cohen-Becker is talking about tonight. And as she mentioned, the solar projects at specific water plants, in addition to, I think we passed, it was over $20 million a few meetings ago for us to be able to restart generating power at O'Shaughnessy Dam. There is a lot of pieces to the puzzle as it relates to our division of power. There's going to be no single solution, but we are committed towards doing what we can. And this contract, in and of itself, does have elements of working towards those ways for us to lower our emissions as a city. So happy to follow up with Ms. Cohen-Becker after council as well to bring in on some more of the details of this contract. But suffice to say, this is a focus, and certainly appreciate folks continuing to push the city on this topic.
Thank you, council members, and thank you, Director. Are there any other comments or discussion needed for the remainder of the consent agenda? Seeing none, may I have a motion for passage? I move for passage.
President Hardin, President Hardin, I still need to read the numbers of the consent agenda items, please.
Just joking. That is an important step. I agree. Clerk, would you please read the following ordinances that appear on our agenda as consent?
Sure. Resolution of Expression 18X-2021. Finance Committee, ordinances 56, 199, 213, 230, and 237-2021. Recreation and Parks Committee, ordinance 183-2021. Public Safety Committee, ordinances 46, 211, 212-2021. Public Utilities Committee, ordinance 109-2021. Public Service and Transportation Committee, resolution 8X-2021, ordinances 49, 90, 105, 137, 218, and 226-2021. Housing Committee, ordinances 180, 222, 236, 267-2021. Economic Development Committee, ordinances 220, 221-2021. Administration Committee, ordinances 88 and 89-2021. And appointments from the Mayor's Office numbered A0006, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, or got too fast there, 11, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, and 18-2021.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Now, if there is any discussion or not any discussion on the consent portion of the agenda, may I have a motion for approval of these items?
So moved.
Second.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, Tyson, President Hardin.
Consent agenda is passed. We will now proceed with the second reading of 30-day and table legislation. The first committee to come before council is the Finance Committee. That committee is chaired by President Pro Tem. President Pro Tem, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Actually, we are going to, Councilmember Tyson has two pieces at the top of finance. So I'm actually going to defer to you first, Councilmember Tyson, and then I'll take my final piece in finance.
Thank you, President Pro Tem Brown. The first ordinance is ordinance number 169-2021 to authorize the Director of the Department of Finance and Management to enter into a contract with the Greater Columbus Arts Council and the Franklin County Convention Facilities Authority for the purpose of distributing 2021 admissions tax proceeds from the Facility Stabilization Fund for the purpose of infrastructure investment in the nationwide arena, as well as other cultural arts, sports, and performance arts venues in the Greater Columbus area, and to authorize a combined appropriation and expenditure of proceeds from the Facility Stabilization Fund anticipated to be $843,750 and to declare an emergency. I know Jamie Goldstein from the Greater Columbus Arts Council is here and will make some comments on this legislation. Jamie?
Thank you, Councilmember Tyson, Council President Hardin, President Pro Tem Brown, and Council Members Brown, Faber, Remy, and Dorans. I'm Jamie Goldstein, Vice President of Marketing at the Greater Columbus Arts Council, and on behalf of Tom Katzenmeyer, our President and CEO, and our Board of Trustees, our staff, and the entire arts community, I want to start by saying thank you. We are so very grateful for the stalwart support that the City of Columbus has provided us through this most difficult time. The CARES Act dollars that we received last year were critical in sustaining the arts sector, and because of that support, the Arts Council not only survived 2020, but was able to double down on our commitment to the community. And quite simply, we could not have done it without you. By any standard, 2020 was an unprecedented year. In January, we looked forward to a year ripe with possibility. And then just a few 8 short weeks later, we were on the precipice of a worldwide pandemic. And by June, we found ourselves in the midst of a period of social and racial unrest unseen in decades. Most of our expectations for last year were tossed out the window, but your support remained constant. And while the bed tax and admissions fee receipts were far below what we expected, they remained a critical part of how we managed to navigate the challenges last year and will become even more important as we move into recovery. I'd just like to take a couple moments to give you a few highlights of how the Arts Council invested our public dollars last year and what we're envisioning for the future. As many of you know, creative workers were the hardest hit by the pandemic with an unemployment rate of more than 30%. The arts suffered even more than hospitality industry. In March of last year, GCAC responded quickly to the crisis by creating the Emergency Artist Relief Fund, which helped raise money for basic food needs like food, rent, and medical bills. More than $328,000 was raised to support 428 artists. While much of this was individual and corporate support, it was seeded with public dollars that were essential. Recognizing also the severe financial crunch facing our cultural institutions, our awards to the 25 operating support grantees increased slightly last year to $5.6 million. And while project support applications declined, we still awarded 44 grants totaling nearly $550,000. We also awarded the first grants in one of our newest programs, Thrive. This 3-year program provides unrestricted dollars to address disparities and inequitable funding to the arts and the impact of this inequity on arts and cultural organizations led by and serving people of color. All People Arts, Maroon Arts Group, and State of the Arts Productions were each awarded this grant. In June, we launched the Art Unites C-Bus project with CAPA when protests began after the deaths of George Floyd and Breonna Taylor. We paid artists to create messages of love, healing, and unity, and presented cash awards to Black filmmakers and photographers for their documentation of the protests in Columbus. Those films are streaming for free right now and on the Wexner Center's website until February 19th, and the photographs are on view in our gallery until May 7th. In the fall, the Arts Council expanded this work and began a partnership with Maroon Arts Group and the City of Columbus. Thank you, Councilmember Favor, for leading this charge on Deliver Black Dreams, a new and aspirational racial equity campaign that was led by Marshall Shorts and is leading with public art for the discussion. And we can look forward to much more from that project in 2021. In March, the Arts Council joined the Can't Stop C-Bus initiative, the community-wide volunteer effort that provided solutions to numerous sectors during the pandemic. The partnership resulted in the deeply impactful curbside concerts, for which Council also provided support. Thank you. The Gravity Uplift murals, and the launch of Art Walks, a new app that helps people explore public art in Columbus. And during all that I just mentioned, we threw a few virtual events, and we finished our strategic plan, one that incorporates diversity, equity, and inclusion throughout all 4 pillars of the plan. And we moved into our new home at 182 East Long Street, an historic space that provides much improved physical accessibility to the community, as well as a gallery that presents work by marginalized artists. The funds from the ticket fee ordinances remain a game changer for the arts in Columbus. And for next year, we know that game is stabilization and recovery. I was inspired by a recent letter to the Dispatch from Dr. Melanie Korn, where she asked us to envision all that we could contribute to a cultural renaissance like the one seen after the pandemic in 1918. I can promise you that while we invest in recovery and we focus on recovery, we will also strive to answer her charge, to inspire the community and manifest this vision of a thriving Columbus where the arts matter to all of us. Again, thank you on behalf of the board and staff of the Greater Columbus Arts Council and the entire arts community. Thank you for this investment.
Thank you, Jamie. And I don't know if there's any questions for Jamie, but I also just want to mention that again, we are hoping this will yield $843,750, and of that amount, 80% of, or approximately $675,000, will be contracted with the Franklin County Convention Facilities Authority for long-term improvements and building infrastructure at Nationwide Arena. And the remaining 20% of that revenue, which is approximately $168,750, will be contracted with the Greater Columbus Arts Council for disbursement to outside organizations to invest in other cultural arts facilities, public art, sports venues, and performance art spaces. And then there will only be a 0.5% administrative fee from the gross receipts. If there are no questions or comments from my colleagues, I move for passage by voice, please.
Second.
Clerk, please call the roll by voice.
Ms. Brown?
Abstain?
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Dorans?
Yes.
Ms. Faber?
Yes.
Mr. Remy?
Yes.
Ms. Tyson?
Yes.
President Hardin?
Yes, ordinance passed.
Thank you. The next ordinance is ordinance number 169-2021. Is to authorize the director of the Department of Finance and Management to enter into a contract with the Greater Columbus Arts Council Incorporated for the purpose of distributing 2021 admissions tax proceeds to provide funding for grants to artists and arts organizations that serve as a foundation for the city's profile as a vibrant, inclusive city, and to authorize the appropriation and expenditure of proceeds from the Creation, Innovation, and Inclusion Fund, and anticipated to be $2.5 million, and to declare an emergency. Again, this fund funds will be used by GCAC to distribute grants to artists and nonprofits, contribute to the city's creative culture, and opening the doors of artists artists, and culture for our residents. Funds will be also utilized to empower emerging artists and to further advance arts education within Columbus neighborhoods through programming at the arts organizations. These funds will be dispersed through the Greater Columbus Arts Council grant program, including the following: operating support, project support, individual artist grants, and artist fellowships. And furthermore, these funds will provide support and resources through an international artist exchange, residency programs, and workshops, as well as new programs designed for artists, nonprofits led by and primarily serving people of color. And again, this will be a $2.5 million dollars in resources, and that there will be a 0.5% administrative fee for any receipts. Also, it will also help fund the operations of the Greater Columbus Film Commission and the Greater Columbus Music Commission. Jamie, I think you've given us an overview. I don't know if you want to make any other comments.
I don't have anything to add. I did well in the first half.
Thank
Thank you for the opportunity, though.
Thank you. I thought you did, but I did not want to. If you had something else you wanted to say, I was going to allow you to please share with our viewing audience. Thank you. So, are there any questions or comments from my colleagues?
Councilmember?
Yes, sir.
I would just say that I just wanted to appreciate again the work that GCA is doing with their equity agenda. I know that there's a committee that was set up. It has birthed great projects, partnered and funded great projects like the Delivering Black Dreams, as we talked about. But we're just grateful for that partnership and the work that we're doing, getting this money out to all of our artists, but especially the extra work that we need to do to make sure that those dollars are spent in an equitable way in our growing and diverse artist community.
And President Hardin, I thank you for those comments. Certainly, with the equity agenda that this council has, it's just great to make sure that as we're having conversations around policy, or as well as providing funds to organizations and to individuals, that we're also always focused on an equity agenda. So I appreciate your comments and helping to move the agenda forward. If there are no questions or comments regarding this legislation, I move for passage by voice vote.
Second.
Clerk, please call the roll on ordinance 0170.
Ms. Brown?
Abstain.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Dorans?
Yes.
Ms. Faber?
Yes.
Mr. Remy?
Yes.
Ms. Tyson?
Yes.
President Hart?
Yes, ordinance passed.
Thank you. And now I will turn this committee over to its Chair President Pro Tem Elizabeth Brown.
Thank you so much, Council Member. Tonight in Finance, I have Ordinance 0284-2021 to authorize the acceptance and appropriation of $26,822,803.20 in funding from the U.S. Treasury as a result of the Consolidated Appropriations Act 2021 to establish the Emergency Rental Assistance Fund, to authorize transfers of cash and appropriation within the fund as needed, and to declare an emergency. The Federal Consolidated Appropriations Act established the Emergency Rental Assistance Program. The U.S. Treasury was authorized to make payments to states and eligible local governments, including the City of Columbus, to provide rent and utility payment assistance. This ordinance accepts those funds. The Department of Finance and Management will be responsible for monitoring the distribution and expenditure of the funds based on guidance provided by the Department of Treasury. Additional allocation of the funds to specific programs will be considered by City Council through future ordinances. As we continue to deal with the disruptions and economic impact of the COVID-19 pandemic, helping people stay in their homes is one of the most direct ways we can support families in Columbus. Direct rent and utility assistance were both some of our top priorities through the distribution of CARES Act funds in 2020. and they will continue to be some of our top priorities through the distribution of this funding. I specifically want to thank Councilmember Shayla Favor for her work throughout the year and throughout her time on council, but specifically throughout the urgency of 2020 to increase stable and affordable housing in Columbus. Housing is a critical foundation for economic stability and health and quality of life for families. And this is the case no matter what, but it is particularly important as we support families through this pandemic. Through these funds and through Councilmember Favor's work on the Housing for All legislative package, City Council is taking action to increase stable and affordable housing in Columbus. Tonight, emergency action is being considered on this ordinance so that these funds can be used as quickly as possible. Are there any questions or comments from colleagues?
Councilmember Brown?
Yes, please, Councilmember Favor.
Thank you for bringing this legislation forward today. And just want to reiterate some of the comments that you made. You know, we were able to get over $15 million out into our community over the past 5 to 6 months. And that still was not enough. The need is great in Columbus, Ohio for rental assistance. And so I want to applaud the efforts of the Department of Development, Director Stevens and his entire team. I also want to give a round of applause to all of our housing advocates and housing partners in the community that helped get those dollars out the door and to the tenants when they needed it. And last but certainly not least, I want to give a round of applause to the Legal Aid Society and our mediation services that provided that technical assistance to residents when they needed it. So I'm looking forward to working once again with the Department of Development to ensuring that these dollars get in the hands of our residents as soon as possible. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Councilmember Favor. Are there any other questions or comments from colleagues? All right, seeing and hearing none, I move for passage.
Second.
Clerk, please call the row.
Brown, Dorans, Favor, Remy, Tyson, President Hardin.
Passed.
Great. Thank you, Council President. That's all I have in my committees.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The next committee to come before council is the Public Utilities Committee. That committee is chaired by Councilmember Dorans. Councilmember, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Council President. Tonight in Public Utilities, first we have ordinance number 0026-2021 to authorize the Finance and Management Director to associate all general budget reservations resulting from this ordinance with the appropriate current and pending universal term contract purchase agreements for the purchase of water treatment chemicals for the Division of Water, to authorize expenditure of $13,700,000 from the Water Operating Fund, and to declare an emergency. Emergency designation is requested to avoid any delays in purchasing chemicals that are necessary for our water treatment process. This will allow the Division of Water to continue to provide safe and reliable drinking water to the citizens of Columbus and the surrounding citizens that participate in our utility program. Do any of my colleagues have any questions or comments? Seeing none, I move for passage.
Second.
Clerk, please call the row.
Brown, Dorans, Favor, Remy, Tyson, President Hardin.
Passed.
Next, we have ordinance number 0071-2021 to authorize the Director of Public Utilities to enter in a construction contract with Granite Construction Company for the Lower Olentangy Tunnel Project, to authorize an appropriation of expenditure of $267,753,200 from the Ohio Water Development Loan Fund, to authorize a transfer of up to $4 from the Sanitary Sewer General Obligation Bond Fund, to authorize an expenditure of up to $2,000 for preventative wage services within the Sanitary General Obligation Voted Bond Fund, to authorize an amendment to the 2020 capital improvement budget, and to declare an emergency. The Lower Olentangy Tunnel is set to be completed by December 31st, 2026, and this project represents the second largest capital project in our city's history. This tunnel will work in tandem with Blueprint Columbus to provide relief to area sewers and help to reduce flooding while improving water quality in the Olentangy River. I know this body's talked a lot about what we can do from a municipal level to fight the effects of climate change and make sure that we're being responsible stewards of our environmental community. project like this, as massive as it is, connected to our blueprint project, is an example of just that. Do any of my colleagues have any questions or comments? Seeing none, I move for passage.
Second.
Clerk, please call the row.
Brown, Dorans, favor Remy, Tyson, President Hardin.
Pass.
Thank you. Next, I have ordinance number 0094-2021 to authorize the Finance and Management Director to associate all general budget reservations resulting from this ordinance with the appropriate universal term contract purchase agreements for the purchase of sewer treatment chemicals for the Division of Sewers and Drainage, to authorize the expenditure of $3,150,000 from the sewer operating fund, and to declare an emergency. Similar to the ordinance earlier concerning water treatment chemicals, emergency designation is requested to avoid the delay of purchasing chemicals necessary for the sewer treatment process at our city facilities. This will allow the Division of Sewer and Drainage to continue to treat waste and provide reduced backups and overflows to the citizens of Columbus, and again, the surrounding communities here in Central Ohio that participate in our utility programs. Do any of my colleagues have any questions or comments? Seeing none, I move for passage.
Second.
Clerk, please call the row.
Brown, Dorans, favor Remy, Tyson, President Hardin.
Passed.
Next, I have ordinance number 0210-2021 to authorize the Director of Public Utilities to negotiate and enter into a letter of intent and negotiate and enter into a solar purchase power agreement for the Division of Power, to authorize the Director of Public Utilities to enter into interconnected agreements, to authorize the Director of Finance to enter into 2 license or lease agreements for selected Department of Public Utility sites, to waive the competitive bidding provisions of the Columbus City Code, to authorize the expenditure of $1 from the electrical city operating fund for each agreement, and declare an emergency. The Department of Public Utilities will enter into a letter of intent with DG Development that will include a 120-day exclusive period in which the Department of Public Utilities will not solicit, initiate, entertain, discuss, encourage submission of any other proposal or offer the installation of any system or any sale of solar energy at or near the Parsons Avenue Water Plant, Jackson Pipe Wastewater Treatment Plant, and the Sewer Maintenance Building, which are specified in the letter of intent and certain confidentiality provisions. These provisions are in our customers' best interest, provide DG the certainty needed to expend the resources on interconnected environmental studies to determine solar installation design, capacity, and purchase power price. Again, as we've talked a number of times tonight, this is another example of the Department of Public Utility looking at clean energy solutions for our community. This ordinance is requested to be an emergency to allow negotiations and due diligence to begin at the earliest possible date. Do any of my colleagues have any questions or comments? Seeing none, I move for passage.
Second.
Clerk, please call the row.
Brown, Dorans, favor Remy, Tyson, President Hardin.
Passed.
President Hart, with your permission, I'd like to move to the Rules and Reference Committee on page 14 of our agenda tonight. Thumbs up. All right. In Rules and Reference, I have several pieces of legislation relating to our code and a variety of things involving storm sewers. So let's take it from the start. We have ordinance number 2553-2021 to amend various sections of Title 11, Chapter 1145 of the Columbus City Code to add and expand definitions, clarify the proper handling of liquid waste, proper discharges into the city storm sewer system, and the assessment of damages related to illicit discharges. The proposed amendments will allow the use of indoor grease interceptors in food service operations, such as restaurants, cafeterias, and other facilities where food is prepared without the need for a variance, and standardizes the approach to how grease interceptors are sized. The amendments also clarify the city has the authority to regulate discharges from private storm sewers as well as public storm sewers, and expand the city's authority to allow cost recovery associated with the city's response to illicit discharges that might not result in a sewer blockage. Authority for the director to allow polluted stormwater discharges to the sanitary sewer from defined areas within qualifying businesses is also provided in this change. This ordinance appeared for first reading on our council agenda last Monday and was the subject of a public hearing this past Wednesday on February 3rd, which I can tell you I thought was very informative for the members of the public. Do any of my colleagues have any questions or comments? Seeing none, I move for passage.
Second.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Brown, Dorans, favor Remy, Tyson, President Hardin.
Passed.
And finally, I have ordinance number 2686-2021 to amend Title 11, Chapter 1145, Section 1145.97 of the Columbus City Code to expand the definition of public nuisance regarding stormwater control practices and requirements for remedying such nuisances. The proposed amendment authorizes the city to notify property owners for failure to maintain stormwater control practices. It provides a framework provides a timeline to property owners to remedy maintenance deficiencies and enter into a maintain stormwater control practices in instances where owners of such practices fail to do so. The proposed amendments require owners to reimburse the city for costs incurred to maintain stormwater control practices that are owned by the property owner. This ordinance also appeared on first reading last Monday and was also part of our public hearing that we had this past week. I want to make sure I thank Director Davies and the members of her team that presented at that public hearing and provided useful background and context for the changes to our code, the need to update it, and how that is again impactful for us to make sure that our watershed and storm sewers are clean and ensure protection for members of the public. Do any of my colleagues have any questions or comments? Seeing none, I move for passage.
Second.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Brown, Dorans, favor Remy, Tyson, President Hardin.
Passed.
Thank you, Council President. That is all I had this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The next committee to come before council is the Public Service and Transportation Committee. The committee is chaired by Councilmember Faber. Councilmember, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Council President Hardin. Tonight in Public Service and Transportation, we have ordinance 80-2021 to amend the 2020 capital improvement budget to appropriate and transfer funds from the Special Income Tax Fund to the Streets and Highways Bond Fund, to appropriate funds within the Street and Highway Non-Bond Fund and within the Streets and Highways Bond Fund, to transfer cash and appropriation between projects within the Street and Highway Non-Bond Fund, to authorize the Director of Public Service to enter into contract with George J. Eigel and Company for the roadway improvements Scioto Peninsula project, to authorize the expenditure of up to $10,720,079.59 from the Street and Highway Non-Bond Fund and the Streets and Highways Bond Fund for the project and to declare an emergency. This contract includes reconstructing Capitol Street, Rush Alley, and Chapel Street from Starling Street to Bell Street, State Street from the railroad tracks to Bell Street, and Starling Street and Bell Street from Broad Street to Town Street. Project work also includes storm sewer, street lighting, landscape features, granite curb, sidewalks, paver parking, pavers, roadways, and other work as necessary. This work is in conjunction with the Scioto Peninsula project. Are there any questions or comments by my colleagues? Seeing none, I'll move for passage.
Second.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Brown, Dorans, favor Remy, Tyson, President Hardin.
Passed.
Thank you. Next, we have ordinance 128-2021 to authorize the Director of Public Service to enter into contract with Strasser Paving Company for the Celebrate One Sidewalk Hilltop, Belvedere Avenue from Mount Street to Sullivan Avenue project, to authorize an expenditure of up to $220,968.50 from the Streets and Highways Bond Fund for the project and to declare an emergency. This contract includes constructing sidewalks along the west side of Belvedere Avenue from Mound Street to Sullivan Avenue, including curb ramps and drive approaches. Existing sidewalk will be replaced where needed, with approximately 2,200 linear feet of sidewalk to be installed or replaced. I think this is a great opportunity to review the progress on the city's commitment to the Sullivan Avenue corridor. Assistant Director Steve Wenzel, can you walk us through what has been accomplished or is in progress to date?
Yes, Chair Faber, President Hardin, members of council. Thank you for the opportunity to discuss the status of the Sullivan Avenue project. The Department of Public Service is leading a comprehensive streetscape improvement project on Sullivan Avenue from Hague to I-70. This $10 million investment is part of Mayor Ginther's initiative to revitalize this corridor, as well as support and empower the neighborhood and the greater Hilltop community. The improvements being completed by the Department of Public Service include the replacement of traffic signals, replacing existing sidewalk where necessary, making them ADA compliant, sealing pavement cracks and replacing old striping on the roads, replacing deteriorated curbs and damaged street signs, the replacement and addition of streetlights, and the addition of bump outs to slow traffic at intersections. Already since the project began last year, our in-house staff has crack sealed over 73,000 feet of roadway, surface treated the main alleys running behind Sullivan Avenue on both sides, installed 2,780 feet of sidewalk, as well as landscaped and reseeded where needed. In addition, the department has supervised the contracted work on 35 driveway aprons, replaced 2 retaining walls, and eliminated 162 trip hazard locations. Starting this year, we will supervise the reconstruction of 15 more driveway aprons and add ADA compliant slopes for pedestrians. We will also be upgrading existing street lighting to LED at over 100 locations. We are upgrading the existing traffic signals, including reflectors for safety, and improving and restriping the crosswalks at least 12 intersections. This includes pedestrian islands and bus bump outs at 4 locations. We are excited to continue this important work, which will help revitalize this corridor and add important safety elements for the traveling public. The department looks forward to providing additional updates as this 2021 construction season starts. Again, I would like to thank Council for the opportunity to brief members on the status of the Sullivan Avenue project.
Thank you so much, Assistant Director. Are there any questions or comments for Assistant Director Wenzel? Seeing none, I will move for passage.
Second.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, Tyson, President Hardin.
Passed.
Thank you. Up next, we have Ordinance 152-2021 to amend the 2020 capital improvement budget to transfer cash and appropriation within the Streets and Highways Bond Fund, to appropriate funds within the General Government Grant Fund, to authorize the Director of Public Service to enter into contract with Complete General Construction for the Miscellaneous Economic Development West Franklinton Cover My Meds project, to authorize the expenditure of up to $1,780,506.61 from the Streets and Highways Bond Fund and the General Government Grants Fund to pay for the project and to declare an emergency. This contract includes widening 2 existing roadways, performing storm sewer work, and installing sidewalks and street lighting. McKinley Avenue will be widened from approximately 500 feet east of Rogers Avenue to approximately 150 east of Hartford Avenue, and Sauter Avenue will be widened on the west side between McKinley Avenue and the existing bridge over the Scioto River. This work is in conjunction with the West Franklinton Cover My Meds project. Are there any questions by my colleagues? Seeing none, I move for passage.
Second.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, Tyson, President Hardin.
Passed.
Thank you. President Hardin, may I move on to housing?
Please.
Thank you. In housing, we have Ordinance 235-2021 to authorize the Director of Development to modify a loan agreement documents with Wendler Commons Limited Partnership to allow for changes in lender information in the documents and an increase in permitted first mortgage amount up to $4 million and to declare an emergency. This ordinance represents a loan modification with Wendler Commons Limited Partnership. Director Stevens, are there any additional comments you would like to make in regards to this ordinance?
Thank you, President Hardin, Chair Faber, members of council. I don't have any additional comments, but I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Are there any questions by my colleagues for Director Stevens? Seeing none, I move for passage.
Second.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, Tyson, President Hardin.
Passed.
Thank you. Council President, may I move on to criminal justice and judiciary?
Please.
We have Ordinance 115-2021 to authorize and direct the administrative and presiding judge of the Franklin County Municipal Court to accept and grant awards from the Columbus Bar Foundation in the amount of $82,934, to accept a grant from the State Justice Institute in the amount of $82,934, to authorize a transfer from the private grant fund to the general government grant fund, to appropriate $165,868 in the general government grant fund to the Franklin County Municipal Court, and to declare an emergency. These grants will provide support to pilot and officially integrate an innovative social work component into the Franklin County Municipal Court Self-Help Center. Are there any questions on behalf of my colleagues? Seeing none, I move for passage.
Second.
Clerk, please call the row.
Brown, Dorans, favor Remy, Tyson, President Hardin.
Passed.
Thank you, Council President. That's all I have in my committees.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Next committee coming before council is the Economic Development Committee. That committee is chaired by Councilmember Remy. Councilmember, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Council President Hardin. I have two ordinances in the Economic Development Committee this evening. First is Ordinance 208-2021 to amend the 2020 capital improvement budget to authorize the city auditor to appropriate and transfer funds from the special income tax to the Development Taxable Bond Fund, to authorize the expenditure of $12,500,000 from the Development Taxable Bond Fund to the Confluence Community Authority, and to declare an emergency. This legislation authorizes the appropriation and expenditure of $12,500,000 pursuant to the contribution agreement with the Confluence Community Authority, which was authorized by Ordinance 1858-2019 and approved by Columbus City Council on July 22nd, 2019. The Confluence Community Authority is a new community authority that has been organized pursuant to Chapter 349 of the Ohio Revised Code, for the purposes of owning and operating a new stadium for the Columbus Crew, undertaking private development activities on property adjacent to the new stadium, facilitating the redevelopment of improvements to the area around the Montfrey Stadium site that will include a new community sports park and training facility, and developing infrastructure necessary to fulfill the needs of the projects. On July 1st, 2019, pursuant to Ordinance Number 1730-2019, City Council authorized a development director to enter into a development agreement with Franklin County and Cruise Stadium and the Cruise SC Stadium Company regarding the proposed financing, development, construction, operation, and occupancy of the stadium, the redevelopment of Montfrey Stadium site into a practice facility and training complex for Columbus Crew SC, and a community sports campus that will include a community recreation facility and playing fields, in the development of a mixed-use development project adjacent to the stadium, collectively called the project. It was the intent of the city, county, and developer that immediately upon the formation of the authority, that the authority would become a party to the development agreement, and that the city and the authority would enter into a contribution agreement to provide for the timing and other mechanical relating to all or a portion of the city's contribution or other amounts to be contributed through the authority, So basically, in a nutshell, I will turn this over to Director Stevens for any additional comments on this ordinance, and then ask for any questions from my colleagues. Director Stevens?
Thank you, President Hardin, Chair Remy, members of council. This is as Chair Remy shared, this is the second of the three payments as part of our development agreement, to keep the crew in Columbus. These dollars go towards the redevelopment of the Montfrey site through the Confluence Village Community Authority. So not only money will be invested in the new training center that is being built out there, but the community sports park that is going to be developed.
Are there any questions or comments from my colleagues about this? Certainly we should consider them the world champion Columbus Crew after this last season. So I appreciate that. If there are no further questions or comments, I move for passage.
Second.
Mr. Chair, I hope you would allow me to just ask a question regarding some of our earlier commitments and conversations with Rec and Parks around access to the new facility that we're building out there, the practice facilities and public use. I don't know if Director Stevens has information on that, or could kind of remind the public the direction in which we are going in terms of making sure that there is public use of that space.
Thank you, President Hardin. Yeah, I'd happy to take a shot at that, and I see Assistant Director Brandon is also on the call as well. I know we have worked in our Recreation and Parks Department has engaged Legends to do a community engagement process to understand what we want to do in the community sports park and what does the community want as we develop that. We're also working with the crew closely on how do we access the site and partner together out there to make it as beneficial to all our residents as possible.
Thank you. I would just remind us that when we talked about this commitment, we talked about the proximity to more than 200,000 of our residents, and we just have to make sure that we are focused on that commitment.
Certainly, President Hardin, we talk about this quite frequently. There hasn't been a formal lease signed yet, but we are making progress in that area. So that's exciting, and certainly the collaborative nature between the crew and the city of Columbus is very notable. We are excited to hear what Legends has come back with as far as their findings and their engagement with the community. But this will be impactful, especially as we continue down the path of having Hudson, the streetscape project completed, and that work around that intersection has been ongoing. And so we hope that we want to make sure that it's accessible to those in Linden, either through Hiawatha or Hudson, and certainly as we open up, it's as accessible as possible for those 200,000 residents.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Clerk, please call the roll.
Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, Tyson, President Hardin.
Ordinance is passed.
Thank you very much. The next ordinance I have tonight is 219-2021 to dissolve the enterprise zone agreement with Alshire Properties, LLC, and Farber Specialty Vehicles, and to direct the Director of the Department of Development to notify as necessary the local and state tax authorities and to declare an emergency. Columbus City Council, by ordinance number 2934-2017, passed December 4th, 2017, authorized the City of Columbus to enter into enterprise zone agreement with Alshire Properties and Farber Specialty Vehicles for a tax abatement of 75% for a period of 10 consecutive years in consideration of the company's proposed total capital investment of approximately $6.7 million, which included $2.15 million in acquisition costs, $3 million in real property improvements, $1 million in inventory, $500,000 in machinery and equipment, and $50,000 in furniture fixtures to acquire, renovate, redevelop, expand, and convert a vacant commercial retail store, formerly known as the Anderson General Store, consisting of approximately 137,300 square feet, into a manufacturing facility with an additional 50,000 square feet located at 5800 Alshire Road. This would have created and retained 110 full-time permanent positions and created new. This project's been put on hold, and certainly want to turn it over to the director just to talk a little bit further about, the process and why we're dissolving this agreement.
Thank you, President Hardin, Chair Remy, members of council. After we enter into incentive agreements with local companies or those that we are attracting into the area, we work with them to make sure, one, they're not only meeting their commitments to job creation, but they're also actually making the investment they originally committed to. This was an example of a company that we worked with that made a change in their strategic direction and was no longer going to be making the investment that they were originally committed to. So we were bringing forth this dissolution to take away that incentive, but for that incentive and that investment, they would not have gotten that incentive. So it's important that we continue to work with our companies and have a dialogue and hold them accountable to the commitments they make.
Are there any questions or comments from my colleagues about this particular piece of ordinance? Seeing none, I move for passage.
Second.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, Tyson, President Hardin.
Passed.
Thank you. That's all I have in economic development. Would you like me to continue with administration, or you want to take a break?
No, I say let's try to keep on going. Let's knock it out before zoning.
Thank you very much. I have ordinance number 87, 2021 to authorize the director of the Department of Human Resources to enter into contract with the law firm of Baker and Hostetler for the purposes of providing assistance with collective bargaining, negotiations, and related activities, to authorize the expenditure of $275,000 from the Employee Benefits Fund, to waive the competitive bidding requirements of the Columbus City codes, and to declare an emergency. The Director of Human Resources seeks the authority to utilize the services of the law firm of Baker and Hostetler for collective bargaining, negotiations, and related activities. Baker and Hostetler has been solicited to provide assistance because of its experience representing the city of Columbus in previous negotiations with all bargaining units. Director Brandon, do you have any additional comments about this particular piece of ordinance or this particular ordinance?
Good evening, President Hardin, Chairman Remy. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, good. I just wanted to say with this particular piece of legislation, this is the annual contract that we usually enter into with Baker and Hostetler. I do think that it's critically important this year that we continue with this this group, specifically because negotiations that began in 2020, some of them have not been completed, and so the history and the continuity of the legal counsel and consultation at the table is critical. Ask me, for example, we began negotiations in 2020. We will be going to fact-finding with them. As you know, FOP negotiations began in 2020 and we continue now. So I do appreciate your consideration of this contract because it is vitally important to us that we're able to maintain the continuity at the table. If you have any questions for me, I am happy to try to address those.
Thank you very much, Director. Appreciate your hard work in that area. Do any of my colleagues have any questions or comments for the Director about this ordinance? Seeing none, I move for passage.
Second.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Brown, Dorans, Faber, Remy, Tyson, President Hardin.
Passed.
Finally, I have ordinance number 113, 2021 to authorize the Director of Human Resources Department to enter into contract with Mount Carmel Health Systems for testing services for the Division of Police and Fire for the provision of health and physical fitness programs, to authorize the expenditure of $1,154,948 from the general fund and to declare an emergency. This legislation authorizes the Director of Human Resources to enter into contract with Mount Carmel Health Systems for health and physical fitness testing services for the divisions of police and fire in the amount of $1,154,948. The Division of Police portion totals $224,000 and the Division of Fire portion totals $930,948. This ordinance represents the fifth of a 5-year contract from March 1st, 2021 to February 28, 2022. Following the 5th year, the contract allows for 3 one-year extensions if all parties are in agreement. Every year, the contract renewal is subject to available appropriation and funding. This contract was last bid in September of 2016. The committee unanimously recommended the contract to be awarded to Mount Carmel Health Systems Occupational Health. The health and physical fitness program is part of the current collective bargaining agreement between the City of Columbus and the Fraternal Order of Police, Capital City Lodge 9, and City of Columbus and the International Association of Firefighters, Local 67. The intent of the program is to ensure the overall general health and fitness of police officers and firefighters. Originally, this contract was entered into by the Department of Public Safety. In 2014, the Department of Human Resources began managing the contract for both Division of Police and the Division of Fire. Director Brandon, do you have any additional comments about this particular ordinance?
Good evening again, President Hardin, Chairman Remy, and members of council. I think you covered everything. I will say that this contract, the amount is the same as it was in 2020. There was no increase or anything like that. The services are critically important, that we maintain the physical health of both the firefighters and police officers. So I do appreciate your consideration of this ordinance tonight.
And again, we appreciate your work in that area. So are there any questions from my colleagues this evening on this ordinance? Seeing none, I move for passage.
Second.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Brown, Dorans, Faber, Remy, Tyson, President Hardin.
Passed.
And that's all I have on my committees this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The final committee to come before council is the Health and Human Services Committee, chaired by Councilmember Tyson. Councilmember, the floor is yours.
Thank you, President Hardin. I have ordinance number 166-2021, and it is to authorize and direct the Board of Health to accept the grant service contract from the Alcohol, Drug, and Mental Health Board of Franklin County in the amount of $2,431,844, and to authorize the appropriation of $2,927,240, which includes program revenues, to the Health Department and the Health Department Grants Fund, and to declare an emergency. This program will help to fund the following projects: outpatient treatment and women's recovery and treatment prevention, medication-assisted treatment, Suboxone, the 2021 Ohio State Opioid Response Grant from the Ohio Department of Mental Health and Addiction Services through the Alcohol, Drug, and Mental Health, which is of Adam Board of Franklin County. And again, these funds will enable Columbus Public Health to continue to provide treatment, counseling, and prevention services to men, women, children, families, the homeless population, and to serve clients referred by the criminal justice system. The Alcohol and Drug Services ADS prevention program will serve approximately 5,487 unique clients who may receive multiple services through Columbus and also through Columbus City Schools, after school and summer program, the Latina prevention programming, HIV early intervention sites, parenting classes, and recreation centers. Of this number, approximately 2,855 adults and family members will be served, 1,832 children and adolescents through youth programming, and 800 transitional age youth will be served through youth programming, workforce development, and programming. The ADS Comprehensive Treatment Program will provide treatment services to approximately 875 men and women through the provision of biopsychosocial assessments, individual intensive outpatient and outpatient counseling. And due to the pandemic, the necessity of maintaining smaller group numbers, the projections may change throughout the year. 69% of the population to be served are men and women, 31% will be women. The medication-assisted treatment programs projected to serve 45 unique clients who will be prescribed either Vivitrol or Suboxone. If you want any information regarding these programs, please contact Terry Langan at Columbus Public Health at 614-724-2024. If there are no questions or comments, I move for passage.
Second.
Clerk, please call the roll. Sorry.
Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, Tyson, President Hardin.
Pass.
Thank you. And President Hardin, I know at the beginning of the meeting, we did not announce that City Council will be hosting our Black History Month program.
Thank you.
And again, this program, being aware of the past, improves our appreciation for the present and enhances our hope for the future. February 1st marks the beginning of Black History Month, and it's time to remember the historical contributions of African Americans in our society. The time of remembrance began as Negro History Week in 1926 by Carter G. Woodson and was expanded in 1976 to a full week by President Gerald Ford. At that time, he said, "Seize the opportunity to honor the too often neglected accomplishments of Black Americans in every area of endeavor throughout our history." Council will be hosting its annual Black History Month program, and to present, this program will be presenting the Poindexter Awards and given in honor of Reverend James Preston Poindexter, a giant in his time and a transformational leader in the history of Columbus African American community. He was also the first African American to serve as a member of Columbus City Council, serving from 1880 to 1884. The Poindexter Award recognizes the achievements of trailblazing men and women who made some significant contributions to how we as a community live, work, play, and prosper in the city of Columbus. This year, we're proud to announce the 2021 Poindexter Award honorees. They will be Otto Beatty Jr., Betty Stahl, and Glenna Watson. And then we'll also have an award that will be an Emerging Leader Award that will be given to the Mr. Marshall Shorts and the Deliver Black Dreams initiative. And this year, of course, it will be a virtual event. It's Friday, February the 12th at 12 noon. And the keynote speaker will be Kimberly Blackwell. And I know there is going to be information sent out from our communications department. So please look for that. But again, it's Friday the 12th. And President Hardin, that's concludes my committee report as well as this last announcement. Thank you.
Thank you so much for reminding us that we have that really exciting ceremony coming up this Friday. So thank you, and congratulations to the recipients of the James Preston Poindexter Award. My last note, we are not going to adjourn this meeting. We are going to recess it. Council will convene this Thursday, February 11th at 10 a.m. to amend the operating budget. We'll amend the budget at that meeting and then retable it to follow the charter requirements. I think President Pro Tem will lead most of that meeting as a budget meeting. We will then move to pass the budget at our next regularly scheduled meeting, which will be February 22nd at 5 p.m. A reminder, we also do not have council this coming Monday, the 15th, due to holiday, President's Day. May I have a motion to recess?
So moved.
Second.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, Tyson, President Hardin.
Council is recessed. Councilmember Tyson, do you want 2 minutes or you want to roll?
I think they have to have a presentation ready. So let's give them like 2 minutes and we're ready to go.
Cool beans.
Okay.
come to order. May the clerk please call the roll.
Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, Tyson, President Hardin.
Can I get a motion to dispense with the reading of the journal?
So moved.
Second.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, Tyson, President Hardin.
We will now go to the zoning committee. Councilmember Tyson chairs this committee. All members serve on it. Councilmember, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Before beginning the zoning agenda, I'll briefly explain the rules of council as pertaining to speaking before council on zonings and variances. We permit 3 speakers on each side, 3 proponents and 3 opponents, and we ask that they limit their remarks to 3 minutes on each side, and we provide an opportunity for rebuttal from the applicant. On the advice of the city attorney's office, anyone who wishes to speak for or against a council variance, including staff, must be sworn in prior to giving testimony. We do so prior to beginning the reading of each variance on the agenda. Anyone here this evening who wishes to speak either for or against this council variance, including staff, please stand, raise your right hand, and be sworn in. I wish to tell the truth and nothing but the truth. Please answer, I will. The first variance and first ordinance is 171-2021 to grant a variance from the provisions of sections 3332.029 SR Suburban Residential District, 3312.27 Parking Setback Line, and 3312.49 C minimum numbers of parking spaces required of the Columbus City Code for property located at 3860 Kimberly Parkway North, to permit a youth center with reduced development standards in the SR Suburban Residential District. The applicant is Directions for Youth and Families, care of Kathleen Kelly. The proposed use is a youth center. The City Department's recommendation is approval, and the Mid-East Area Commission's recommendation is approval. It was unanimous. I am very excited about this variance and the work that will happen with the Directions for Youth and Families. This will be on the east side, out in the Hamilton Road area, and it's so important because there aren't any recreational facilities, libraries, or any real activities for young people. So having this new youth center in that section of Columbus will just be truly an asset to our community. So I'm very excited to that Directions for Youth and Families is going to be supporting our young people. If there are no questions or comments for this variance, I move for passage.
Second.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, Tyson, President Hardin.
Pass.
Thank you. The next ordinance is 187-2021. I'm sorry. And it is to rezone 3655 West Dublin Granville Road, being 1 acre located in the southeast corner of West Dublin Granville Road and Martin Road, from the C3 Commercial District to the CPD Commercial Plan Development District. The applicant is Blue Sky Car Wash, care of Barry Nutter. The proposed use is a car wash. The State Department's recommendation is approval, and the Northwest Civic Association's recommendation is approval, 6-0. If there are no questions or comments from my colleagues, I first move to amend to emergency.
Second.
Clerk, call the roll, please.
Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, Tyson, President Hardin.
Thank you. Thank you. And now I move for passage.
Second.
Please call the roll.
Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, Tyson, President Hardin.
Passed.
Thank you. The next ordinance is ordinance 191-2021 to rezone 4509 Cleveland Avenue, being 0.13 acres located on the southwest intersection of Cleveland Avenue and Brooklyn Road, from CPD, the Commercial Plan Development District, to LC2, the Limited Commercial District. The applicant is Frederick Sam Bohr. The proposed use is a daycare center. The city department's recommendation is approval, and the Northland Community Council's recommendation is approval, 1301. I will share that our office has received written testimony from Marion Hoff and Allie Jelly in opposition to this ordinance, and they expressed some issues of concern. So what we can do here, some issues of concern, and and those issues were safety, traffic, a small parking area, and the children being provided an outside space to play. The applicant has provided us with this information that traffic would not be an issue because the building is small and the business will not create a lot of additional traffic. The maximum number of children would be 24, and the maximum number of staff in the building would be 4. The issue concerning the play yard, which would be on the side of the building, is facing Cleveland Avenue, came up during a meeting with the city, and they are installing bollards, which are poles in the ground filled with concrete, was suggested as a solution to protect the children and play yard from traffic. And the site also meets a requirement of the 60 feet from the center of Cleveland Avenue, and the parking lot for the building is small but meets the city's requirements of 2.5 spots are required for the size of the building, and the lot consists of 4 spaces. Are there any questions or comments from my colleagues? If not, I move for passage.
Second.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, Tyson, President Hardin.
Passed.
Thank you. The next ordinance is 177-2021, and it is to grant, first, it's a variance. So anyone here this evening who wishes to speak either for or against this council variance, including staff, please stand, raise your right hand, and be sworn in. I wish to tell the truth and nothing but the truth. Please answer, I will.
I will. I will.
Thank you. This ordinance is 177-2021 to grant a variance from the provisions of sections 3332.035 R3 Residential District and 3356 C4 permitted uses of the Columbus City Codes for property located at 844 East 11th Avenue to permit a multi-unit residential development containing up to 65 units in the R3 Residential District and the C4 Commercial District. The applicant is Loeffler Opportunity Funds, LLC. The proposed use is a multi-unit residential development. The City Department's recommendation is approval, and the South London Area Commission's recommendation is approval, 501. I am going to so first, I just really I want to thank the leadership of the South London Area Commission. Certainly want to thank Mr. Calloway, Miss Pegg. I appreciate the work that they have done to move this variance forward. This will be affordable housing. I also, again, I appreciate all the area commissioners and the community. And I also want to thank the agent, the attorney that also worked with the community to move this legislation forward. And again, this will be, and I'll share this. So This will actually be, so we're moving to amend and submit to the clerk. It's not 66 units, it's actually 44 units. And I'll make sure that, I know we've already said that everyone's been sworn in, but we'll just verify that with the developer. So, Mr. Attorney Hodge, I know you're on the line. Would you please confirm that this is 44 units?
I confirm that it's 44 units.
Thank you. All right. And again, thank you. Excited about the affordable. This again is a variance to get low-income housing, low-income tax credits. Councilmember Favor, there'll be units at 30%, 60%, and 80% of AMI. And if they are successful through this process, they would then be coming back to council for a rezoning of this property. So with that, I first would like to move to amend to emergency.
Second.
Thank you.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Brown, Dorans, Favor, Remy, Tyson, President Hardin.
Amended.
Thank you. And now I move to amend and submit to the clerk. That's the 44 units.
Second.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Brown, Dorans, Favor, Remy, Tyson, President Hardin.
Amended.
Thank you. And now I move to passage.
Second.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Brown, Dorans, Favor, Remy, Tyson, President Hardin.
Passed.
Thank you. Anyone here this evening who wishes to speak either for or against this council variance, including staff, please stand, raise your right hand, and be sworn in. I wish to tell the truth and nothing but the truth. Please answer, I will.
I will.
Thank you. Thank you. This is ordinance 192-2021 to grant a variance from provisions of sections 3356.03 C4 permitted uses, 3312.49A, 1 minimum numbers of parking spaces required, 3321.05A1, vision clearance, 3325.323, building height standards, and 3325.381, parking and circulation of the Columbus City codes for property located at 1331 North High Street to permit mixed-use development with reduced development standards in the C4 commercial district. The applicant is a collegiate development group, care of Attorney Michael Shannon. The proposed use is a mixed-use development. The City Department's recommendation is approval, and the University Area Commission's recommendation is disapproval, 9-9. I'm going to now ask for a staff presentation.
The site consists of 5 parcels developed with commercial uses in a C4 commercial district. The requested council variance will permit a mixed-use building consisting of 9,062 square feet of retail development and 174 dwelling units with some residential uses on the ground floor. Variances to minimum numbers of parking spaces required, vision clearance, and building height standards are included in this request. The site is within the regional commercial subarea of the University District zoning overlay. The University District Plan recommends this area for regional mixed use, which supports mixed-use corridors with the most dense development and building heights up to 72 feet. The plan also states that the design of new construction should be compatible with nearby contributing buildings, the surrounding streetscape, and that the existing buildings that contribute to the district's diverse character be preserved. This proposal is consistent with the plan's recommendation to preserve existing buildings and contribute to the streetscape and neighborhood character. Additionally, while the proposed height is 85 feet, preservation of streetscape, setbacks from High Street, and the high quality of design mitigate impacts to the proposed additional height. The City Department's recommendation is for approval, and I'd be happy to answer any other questions.
Thank you, Kelsey. Are there any questions for Kelsey?
Councilmember Tyson?
Yes.
I'm sorry, what was the vote for the area commission?
So the votes are 9-9, and we're getting ready to hear, once we hear the presentation from the applicant, and then we'll hear from the commission, because now I think the issues and concerns that were there have been worked out. But yes, it was a 9-9 vote. And so now I'm going to ask Attorney Michael Shannon to please represent the applicant.
Thank you, Mr. President, Chair Tyson. I'll give you the Reader's Digest version. We've been working on this project for 2 years. At the time we called the question with the University Area Commission, there was still some opposition in the neighborhood, primarily from Denison Place. Since that time, we've gone through several additional iterations with significant reductions in unit counts. And as a consequence, we did get consensus for approval from Denison Place, the University District Impact Review Board. Also, after we reached accord, unanimously approved our zoning request. And I believe UAC leadership has already reached out to you to express their support. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Shannon. I think, don't we have a speaker tonight in response to this?
I believe Ms. Fox is here as an attendee, I saw.
Yes.
And she's
Yes,
the
Kathy.
Denison Place.
Kathy, are you representing Denison Place? Do you want to share your comments now?
I'd be happy to do so now if that's your
That's fine.
preference.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So I'm Kathy Fox, the Zoning Committee Chair for the Denison Place Neighborhood Association. Our association is proud of our history of working with developers and building owners to find solutions for development proposals that address neighborhood concerns while also allowing responsible new development to occur in our neighborhood. Consistent with our record, DP&A undertook communications with the developer for this project. The discussions resulted in a set of improvements and operational mitigations that the neighborhood was able to support unanimously at our December 2020 meeting. You should have before you a letter from DP&A's president confirming the association's support. We applaud the developer for working with us to reach the improved plan now before you, which better fits the context of our two-story historic residential neighborhood. We signed a memorandum of understanding with the developer in December that includes commitments regarding building massing and the building's relationship to the neighborhood, mitigation measures such as screening and noise control, prohibitions on outdoor speakers conforming with the University District Plan that was approved by Council, provisions for operations such as how trash and deliveries will be handled, and establishing proactive lines of communication and problem resolution for any future issues. We also want to applaud the University Impact District Review Board for providing productive suggestions that improved the project. We believe that the best results are achieved when the city strongly encourages zoning applicants to work with neighborhoods on solutions. This is how the process should work. The Denison Place Neighborhood Association asks you to vote yes on these zoning variances. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Fox. Are there any questions from my colleagues to either Ms. Fox or to Attorney Shannon, Mike Shannon?
Councilmember Tyson?
Yes, Councilmember Faith.
Thank you. I just briefly wanted to acknowledge at Denison Park and the Area Commission, as well as the developer for working in a collaborative way to reach a result that everyone feels good about. I met with this group maybe like 3 or 4 months ago, and there was a lot of concern initially, but just encouraging the members to work with the developers to convey their opinions, their convictions, and to work with your team, Councilmember Tyson. I'm really happy to hear tonight that we've got a result that everyone feels good about. So thank you to your team, Councilmember Tyson, and to the community members who put in hours of voluntary work to really advocate on behalf of their community.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilmember Favor. Are there any other comments? Seeing none, thank you, Ms. Fox, for coming down and for sending us your correspondence and advocating on behalf of your community. And if there's no other questions or comments, I want to move for passage.
Second.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, Tyson, President Hardin.
Pass.
Thank you. And
Very much.
thank you. I was remiss. I should have also wanted to recognize the Department of Neighborhoods, especially for the work that the meetings that they also held in an effort to again have a new affordable housing project on 11th, working with the South Linden Area Commission. And so I want to thank Director Carla Williams-Scott and also Delina Scales. And so that concludes all the legislation in the zoning committee this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Seeing no further business come before the zoning committee, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, Tyson, President Hardin.
Meeting is adjourned. It looks like we have maybe one speaker on the non-agenda speaker list.